and we're so excited to get a chance to chat with you and learn more about you and your podcast, Focused Fire Chat. For anyone who does not know, and if you've been living under a rock, Green is a bona fide lore expert and co-host of the longest-running Destiny lore podcast, Focused Fire Chat, with 163 episodes. She is a hunter main, and her favorite thing in Destiny is the Awoken lore.
Indeed.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you on to talk about Destiny lore. But before we dive into the lore, I'd love to learn more about you and Focused Fire Chat, and to learn about how you guys got started with your podcast.
Well, actually, if for those people who were there at the very beginning, I did not join FFC at its very beginning. I was one of the initial listeners back in November 7th of 2015. We've been running for 4 years now, which is a kind of an intense thing to think about. But my very first time on the episode was as a guest host on episode 40, where I helped them with the Crota Fire team. We talked about that, but I didn't come on as a full-time host until episode 68. And before then, it was Blue, Justin, and Willie. And we've obviously had some change-ups in the lineup as far as host and co-host go. But yeah, those guys started it out. I fell in love with it. I initially was a Destiny Ghost Stories listener for quite a long time, and then they had their own perspectives on it, their own opinions on it. So I decided, okay, I'm going to look for different opinions, different takes on things, and found FFC. Jumped into their Discord and just kind of lurked for quite a while. And enjoyed it and took it in, and then eventually started reaching out to Blue about helping with things, and it kind of steamrolled from there.
That's really awesome. And if I'm not mistaken, Blue is the original founders of Focused Fire Chat, correct? And
Correct.
The Lore Network.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. The Lore Network is kind of his brainchild that I've been helping with for about 6 or 7 months now. I think we're coming close on to a year of its origination, but it's getting there a little bit at a time.
I checked out the website, and you guys had done a really awesome job with it. And if anyone's interested in learning more about it, visit www.thelorenetwork.com to learn more and to get awesome lore content. I think that you guys are doing some really incredible things, especially with lore that is such a complicated subject in Destiny that's not always the easiest to decipher and to discuss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure Dark Angel knows that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of the lore, it's very I don't know what the word is, but it's some of this stuff is so one of the stuff we're going to talk about, it references stuff all the way back in this very specific Grimoire card in Destiny 1. And it's just crazy how everything all connects. That's probably my favorite thing about the Destiny lore is how everything all connects all together. A nice little bow.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And, the way the stories are intertwining now and things like that, you can see.
Oh, yeah, everything's ramping up.
You can see the different connections, happening with the Nine and Drifter and things like that, Savathun eventually, and yeah.
Well, shout out to one of the major players in the lore community, even though most people actually don't know who he is. Now I'm blanking on his name. I'm giving him this accolade, and now I can't think of his name. Captain Kex. There we go.
Oh yeah, Captain Kex. Yeah, I know him. He's amazing. Yeah.
Kex has this massive mind map because Kex is he's a detective in real life. And so he has access to this program that allows him to do these crazy mind map threads, the meme with the guy with the wall covered with papers and the strings and everything. He does that for real with digitally, and he created a mind map that is incredibly massive, connecting all the different topics in Destiny. And I don't know if we've really gotten too much into D2 stuff because it's just gotten so crazy. I'm sure he's working on it in his spare time. I just have not been able to pop in there and see what he's done since the end of Age of Triumph, the very first end of D1. But yeah, he's another one I would suggest if you ever want to follow somebody who knows their stuff. He is certainly one of those.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. And I'll make sure to add that into our show notes so that way, if any of our listeners do want to learn more, they can find it within the show notes when that goes out on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So, Green, how'd you start out with playing Destiny?
I actually got roped into it by a bunch of co-teachers because I taught K through 12 music back in Kansas for a few years, played Borderlands, played online with a couple of friends, and they convinced me to try Destiny around December in 2015. So I missed the initial launch. I missed the beta, missed all of that. Didn't even have it on my radar. Came in during Dark Below. But they convinced me to try it, to run a raid with them, and I've kind of gotten hooked a little deeper than I expected, and definitely more than my wife expected. But it's been good. It's been good for everybody.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Been roped into it in some way.
You just get those hive talons stuck in you and you can't get them out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I kind of convinced Shadow Price to get Destiny when that came out. We were actually Call of Duty fans before that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
But
cool.
originally, we did play Halo.
Yeah,
And I started
was a
with
bunch
Halo
of
Reach.
Halo Reach is good. I love that game. That's one of my favorites.
I am so excited for that game to come to PC. I am very, very excited. I've been wanting for this game to come to the PC for years now, and we've been talking about it and contemplating when is that going to come out. And we were thinking it's going to come out on the 10-year anniversary of Halo Reach, which I think it came out in 2009.
2010. Halo Reach.
2010. Okay, I
Yeah.
stand corrected. So 2010, and we thought we were going to have to wait a couple more years, but luckily this year will be an exciting year, especially if you're into Halo or Borderlands. There's some good things happening for us gamers.
Mm-hmm.
For
It's
sure.
be nice to see these communities thriving, like a Halo community thriving again, like
Yes.
like in PvP and things like that. Like Forge, making things in the Forge.
Oh,
Oh my
man.
gosh.
creating content.
Do you know how much easier it's
Yeah.
going to be to make things in the Forge for it? Oh, I'm so excited now.
Mouse and keyboard.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think keyboard's gonna make it a lot easier. Yeah, that's
I'm absolutely terrible when it comes to mouse keyboard games, but like being able to manipulate things in the Forge, like I will, if I get Halo for my PC, I'm going to be playing like a noob with a controller just because it will feel weird with a mouse and keyboard, but being
Hey.
able to manipulate things in Forge would be nice.
I'm going to share with you guys a little secret that most people may not know. I play on the PC, but I still use my PS4 controller because keyboard and mouse still feels kind of foreign to me.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried it.
Same.
I continue to try it, but it's challenging to use.
It is.
Keyboard's hard for me. It hurts my wrist. It's just I can't get the fingering down when you have to like move your character around. I get flustered when I'm trying to do it.
The one time I tried it, I logged in with Beard Grizzly, one of the other co-hosts, and I was chasing him around IO, of all places, because him and his Asher Mirror love. I was just absolutely terrible at even just following him on a Sparrow on mouse and keyboard. I'm like, I don't know how people do this, but I more power to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice in my opinion, but some people have been playing PC games their whole life.
Oh yeah,
So
sure.
I think that's where it becomes a little bit more natural for us. We came from playing on Xbox to moving on to the PS4, and then once Destiny came out for the PC, I couldn't resist the frames, and I just had to see what that was all about, and
It is
I've been
pretty.
loving it ever since.
It is so very pretty.
What platform do you play on, Green?
Primarily now PlayStation. I was Xbox all the way through D1 and then beginning of D2, and then I switched to PlayStation for Actually, the Pod Clash that Saint 14 podcast put on it would have been last year, and I switched over to put a team together because nobody on Xbox that I knew wanted to play in the Pod Clash. So I pulled a team together on PlayStation. Kind of never went back. I have it on all 3 platforms, actually.
Oh, really?
I just don't play PC ever, and Xbox on rare occasion.
We have it on all 3 platforms too.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, it's
But-
been a
Had I
problem
had a
since
Destiny
day one.
problem.
No, we have a pretty big Destiny problem. Although primarily I do play on the PC, I try to hop on my PlayStation and run one character on there. But it's so difficult, especially running 3 characters, let alone 4.
Oh, yeah,
It becomes
definitely. I haven't even touched my other characters yet. Like, I just had my hunter just yesterday reached 700, so now I'm like, well, now to work on my other characters.
Yeah, it becomes almost a chore.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I relate to, having to dismantle things constantly. It's such a chore, and I don't have enough vault space. I know I complain about it often, but it's a real problem for me all the time. I think every couple of weeks my vault fills up and everything just fills up, and I'm like, what do I do?
Are
But,
we not ever going to have a problem with vault space? Is there any time in Destiny that vault space is going to be a thing of the past? Like,
I mean, if they just take it away completely, then you won't have a problem with vault space.
There won't be any vault space.
yeah.
You have to make those decisions on the fly.
Like, oh no, I only have X amount of oh, that'd be awful. Oh, I don't like that. I like my vault space.
Yeah, I do have a hoarding problem in Destiny. That's been something that's kind of gone with me since the very beginning. I cherish the things I get, and I don't want to let them go. Plus, I have so many gunsmith materials that it's not even funny anymore. I think I have like 25,000. I'm not even kidding.
Jesus, that's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's nothing that Banshee really drops anymore, and it takes so much to get him to drop any engrams. I'm sorry for the doggies in the background.
Ooh. Doggo is very...
And I thought Rocky's loud.
Everybody
That's awesome.
wants to be on the Destiny show.
Right?
Buddy and Caleb, they are very protective boys. All 25 pounds combined of them.
That's awesome. Are they both Chihuahuas?
One's a Bichon mix, and the other one is a Chihuahua mix.
Yeah, I have a little Pomeranian Chihuahua, so I can relate to
the attitude.
Oh yes, he gets pretty feisty sometimes. Sometimes he's pretty demanding of things. Like if he wants something, he will make sure that you are aware of that.
Oh, I'm sure.
But he protects the house really well. And Green, what is your favorite lore in Destiny and why?
I come from a RPG background initially. I was very much so a Oblivion, Skyrim fan.
Oh yeah.
I loved D&D growing up. I never actually played D&D. I just loved the books because I never had friends enough that were into that kind of thing. So I didn't actually get into tabletop RPGs until I was in college. But I really love elf-like races. So anything related to the Awoken are kind of my wheelhouse at this point, at least as far as things that I devour initially as soon as I see them. The other thing is I run a role play account on Twitter that is a Petra Binge account. So I have to make sure that I'm accurate lore-wise, otherwise people will call you out.
Yeah, definitely. I like the Awoken lore. It's pretty cool.
The Maracena, the
yeah,
Awoken of the
definitely.
Reef. I recorded the Maracena, and it took me... the recording was an hour and 45 minutes long for the entire book. And it took me 3 weekends of probably 6 hours each weekend just to get the thing recorded in a way that I felt comfortable releasing it.
Yeah.
It was rough. So good.
Yeah, definitely.
I love the Awoken lore as well, and especially now that we know that Uldren is coming back, and everything that's happening with Mara Sov.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a fascinating group of characters, in my opinion, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when Uldren finally returns, hopefully to the tower, if that even remains that.
I have some theoretical tidbits that comes from last week's episode that we did on FFC. Uldren, the tower may not actually know that Uldren's been rezzed, according to the Stolen Intelligence books.
So
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
they'll just show up and they'll be like, "What?"
But
Well,
we
where
know because we saw the vision.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But the hidden don't know, or at least the agent who reported it back to Ikora didn't know. Which would make sense, because that would be some pretty high level clearance type information that not a whole lot of people would probably get.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
But Tower doesn't seem to be acting on it if they do know.
Well, and currently the tower is dealing with quite a few other problems these days, especially with a little group called the Praxic Order.
Yeah, the Praxics are their own thing, always have been.
And we're going to talk a lot more about the Praxic Order and the situation that is taking place currently in Destiny. And before we do dive into that, my turn.
Yep.
Rocky
1 second.
Yeah, it seems like the Vanguard, right now they don't really have a sense of urgency or anything. They're just like letting stuff happen.
Well, you have to think of it from their perspective too. Since the Red War happened, or everything that happened with Gaul, they have kind of been put into a position politically where people view them as the actual leaders, and that's not how they were initially intended to perform. They were supposed to be mentors to the Guardians themselves, not necessarily leaders of humanity at that point. And now they've become the pseudo figurehead / almost political, not necessarily president and vice president type thing, but they almost have this council-like feel where everyone expects them to be more than they actually
definitely.
are.
I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Yeah.
The lore for the oxygen, as the new pinnacle weapon for the Vanguard, kind of talks a little bit about that, because it's a conversation between Ikora and Zavala, and it kind of ends on
Yeah,
like a
that's the
touching
scout
note.
rifle, Oxygen SR3 or SR4, I want to say.
Yeah.
SR3, I think.
Yeah,
It's-
SR3.
It's an Amalon scout, if I remember
Yeah,
right.
it's SR3.
Yep.
But yeah, and there's a message in Stolen Intelligence where Ikora talks about the possibility of the Vanguard disbanding and
Yeah.
her reasonings behind it, which is incredibly interesting if they were to go ahead and do that, because then we don't necessarily need them as far as like pushing our story forward, because we have a lot of leads in other directions from other characters, but it would be interesting not to have that voice of that grounding voice, that pseudo speaker voice, because now that's who they are.
Yeah, seeing
definitely.
that we don't have the speaker anymore, we don't have Kate anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, and I can imagine that would definitely hurt the morale in the tower as well, where Zavala and Ikora maybe feel like they can't really run things adequately to protect the people they were sworn to protect.
And they're both first warriors, not politicians. They weren't supposed to push paper and organize these groups necessarily. They were meant to lead from the front.
Yeah, and I think me and Shadow were talking about it the other day, where it would be very interesting to see Zavala and Ikora take a new role in the game where they're with you in the front line, fighting alongside with you in the field more. And that would be a really interesting direction for Bungie to take with the game sometime in the future.
I mean, you talk about Last Call and how we got to fight alongside Cade. That's still one of my favorite missions to run when it
Yeah,
pops up
definitely.
as a
Yeah.
daily, because it's so much fun to see him in there with us and watch him use his golden gun and watch him go through the fight with you. And granted, this cutscene at the end I still skip because it's painful to watch every time.
It is
But
very emotional.
it is.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
did a
That
great job of
music.
showing it. And you finally get to see a double jump in like animated. It's so cool. Anyway.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. That's probably my favorite mission in Forsaken by far.
It's
Mhm.
long too. It's like 45 minutes long. It's such a long mission.
Yeah, definitely, because you have to like go through the prison and everything else. But
And there's so
it's
many
definitely one of my
cutscenes.
favorites.
If you watch all the cutscenes and everything, and everything, it's like 45 minutes long. That whole thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job with the Forsaken expansion. I really hope that they continue the momentum going into the fall after the annual pass is done with during the next season of the Opulence. So that would be really interesting. Green, I'm curious to ask, what is the most rewarding and challenging thing about hosting a weekly Destiny lore podcast? It's kind of a two-part question.
Challenging, I think, is something you touched on a little bit before, and how prepping. There's so much time that goes into prepping a lore episode, from doing the mind maps that I put together or putting together our show notes, which are pages upon pages long. Especially recently, we've done like 7 and 8 page long show notes, and those are just like cliff notes versions with us commenting on the sides towards each other and like things to remember to talk about. Those notes take so much time. Probably between Blue and I, we put close to 6 to 7 hours each week into those show notes. And
Wow.
yeah, it's well, because if you get something wrong, you'll have somebody in chat who will correct you, or you'll get a note later about it. So you have to make sure you have all your bases covered.
Through
But
162 episodes, I'm sure you got a lot of people that are lore hounds now that they follow it just as you guys deliver it and everything to them.
sometimes, I mean, you mostly see it in live chat. Luckily, I haven't seen a whole lot of people attack us via Twitter or like in dispatches where people will send in emails or anything like that. There really haven't been too many people who do that, because most people who listen to our show are consumers, not necessarily
Right.
they're consumers of the show to learn about the lore. But
They're there to learn about it.
Exactly, rather than people who are there to expand upon their knowledge, which granted, our show is not your 101 kind of show. Like, we try to go into your basic story, but if you don't have a good understanding about Destiny to begin with, like if you don't know who Kate is, if you don't know who Aldrin is, it's going to be really hard to talk to you at a level that is going to be the bare bones basic, like this is what happened in the story, this is why this happened in the story. And it's difficult to walk that line, because we also want to present information that is at a higher level, so we can discuss the things that are not just things that you get in game or things that you get in the cards, but also the theoretical aspects of this could possibly happen according to this person who said this back in whenever episode or whenever release. So it's a fine line walking those two. As far as most rewarding aspect, I would say that actually recording live is probably my favorite thing when it comes to doing the show, because I get to hang out with my buddies and make fun of them and talk with them and debate with them. And Blue's kind of become my unofficial brother. It's funny because my wife actually calls him my work husband, because we talk so much, and Beard has kind of become that same thing. Justin was that. It's just these people are people I enjoy talking to, and so when we get on Friday night, it doesn't matter any of the stuff going on in real life. We have the show and we have each other, and it's just fun to relax and kick back and talk about a game we love.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are so knowledgeable when it comes to Destiny lore. I've learned a great deal about the lore in the game from you guys and from Bife and from Mylian Games. It's incredible what you guys do. I mean, each and every week to record such high quality content. I have a lot of admiration for you guys, and make sure you let Blue know that we appreciate him as well for starting this thing and for all of the hard work and all of the other hosts as well on the show. You guys are doing some really awesome things, and we are great fans of all of your content.
Thank you.
And I think for me, one of the most rewarding things about doing a podcast is learning as you go along, being able to interview individuals like you who have so much knowledge and so much wisdom to share. And it allows you to grow not only as a guardian, but as a human being, where you learn about so many different perspectives each and every week. We were fortunate enough to have people like P-Tibbs, who is a game developer. We had PS Nation on the podcast a few weeks back as well. And then we had the Dark Angel as well. So it was great to learn about the game from so many different perspectives and so many different minds, where you can learn about so many different aspects of Destiny and just video games in general.
Certainly. I mean, that's one of the best things about this game, is that you can have all these different perspectives and all these different voices. And the people, for the most part, there are some bad apples out there, but for the most part, the people out there will be respectful of your opinion and be respectful of your positions and have a conversation with you like an adult.
I definitely agree on that. Shadow Price, what is the most rewarding thing for you being a podcaster?
Just be able to have a voice, talk about the game that we love to play. There's a lot of fascinating things in the game as far as the lore goes, and I've followed Destiny lore almost since the beginning. I read a lot of the Grimoire cards. I listened to the ghost stories and things like that. I've always been fascinated with the lore in Destiny. Like, it's really dark. There's a lot of dark stuff that happens in the game and everything. And it's just awesome how talented the writers are at Bungie and everything. And you really see it through, what you're reading and everything. And it's incredible. It's like my favorite lore almost of any game ever. And I've played like tons of games, and I'm also an RPG fan. I came from Final Fantasies. I played. I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. Like Final Fantasy VII is my favorite Final Fantasy because I love the story in it. And it really pulls at your heartstrings sometimes.
Talk about a lore back, like the amount of lore that it takes to understand that game, that franchise. Final Fantasy. Luckily, we have Beard on the show because we do extra lores. He broke my brain with that one, and the Nier Automata one. I got to a point during the episode, and I was just like, I need you to talk to me like I'm in second grader, please, because this is a lot.
Yeah,
but it's great.
Yeah, it is. Video games are awesome. Like the people who make them, the developers, the writers, everybody who put their heart and soul into them. Like it's so awesome. It really is. And that's why it's like the most popular entertainment medium out there is video games right now. It's surpassed movies and books. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think the lore in Destiny has come so far since the very beginning, since Vanilla Destiny came out. And even then, there was some really interesting lore, but there's so much depth to it. And it's so interesting how all of the characters just kind of come together in this perfect way. And I think the lore in Destiny is some of the best of any game that I've played. And I've, played games like Borderlands and Skyrim, and those are incredible games. And I think Destiny is taking things to a whole new level with this expansion, especially when it comes to their lore. So, Green, I do want to ask, who did you side with? The Vanguard or the Drifter?
I sided with Drifter, no questions asked, partially because I knew the lore going into it, because I had slight insider information, but I also run Gambit. I'm a Dredgen. I have a Gambit team, a set team with Issacol, the writer of Bad Destiny Joke, and the rest of my clan with Lux Regalia and Speedy Russian and all those guys. We have kind of a set group that we run Gambit, and we play it fairly often, and we like to ruin people's days with it, unfortunately. But yeah, I sided with Drifter. No question. I got the honor book or the honor cards and whatnot, and I was just like, I hear you, but I don't like you, so I'm gonna delete those and not pay attention to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I unfortunately sided with the Vanguard on my main character.
It's not an unfortunate thing. You can totally side with Vanguard. I have no problem with that.
Well, you know what it is for me? The Drifter keeps calling me a snitch, and it makes me feel bad because I love Gambit. Gambit is one of my favorite activities in Destiny right now, and my main character is my Hunter, and I figured, okay, well, Hunter Vanguard, you have to stay true to your roots, do it for Cade. So I figured, okay, I'm going to side with the Vanguard, but now I play Gambit the most with my Hunter, so it's like, I don't want to be called a snitch. I wish I sided with you on my main character, but it's okay because I do intend on playing through the entire quest line on my Warlock and Titan, so I will be siding with the Drifter to redeem what I have done wrong, so to speak.
What's funny though is I don't know if it's because of like accidental things, because sometimes if you're playing Crucible, Shax will say you lose at the end of the game even though your team won. I've gotten a few voice lines loading into matches where Drifter has called me a snitch. Now, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen.
Yeah, that happened to me like today when I was playing. He kept like saying, "Oh, you told on me, but I'm like, but Drifter, I sided with you. I'm a Dredgen. I have the full collector set. I thought we were homies."
Yeah.
It must be like another audio glitch because all of my guardians are female, but they keep Drifter keeps calling me brother sometimes. Like, you gotta kill the blockers, brother, and I'm like, okay.
Maybe he's not talking to you. Maybe he's talking to your teammate who's not doing anything.
That's what I'm assuming. I'm like, you're talking to my teammates, I'm assuming, but I'll go help. Maybe, since I have 20 emotes.
Have you heard the voice lines where Drifter, if you have a full set of Invader gear or Sentry gear, like I run a Sentry, he has specific voice lines for those types.
Yeah, it's really funny because I run the full collector set, and he's like, you're a collector. Don't let the invaders know, but you're the real MVP. And I'm like, he's right. He's right.
Invader,
without me, we wouldn't win.
Invader, huh? You guys scare me and everything.
I just love that they're adding all of this like personalization, and like it's kind of saying, oh, it's a reflection on like your character's choice. Oh, you sided with the Drifter. Okay, you get these voice lines. Oh, you're a Sentry. You get these. I just really like that little personal touch.
Me too.
Makes me feel like what I'm doing matters a little bit.
Yeah, I have to agree on that. I think it adds more depth to the game where your choices are beginning to matter now. So it's starting to feel more like a RPG. And I really hope they embrace that about the game, especially going into D3. That would be definitely really cool to have more of these decision-based missions where our choices affect how all of the characters interact with us in futures. That's really cool. So let's take a little break from the Destiny chat and have some fun for a minute. And Green, since you're on the hot seat, if you were stranded on an island and you could only bring 3 things with you, what would they be and why?
Ooh.
I would take a knife because practical. Probably like flint as well, like a fire starter stick type thing to use with the knife. So I have fire because practical. Maybe like extra like rope, like or twine or something like that. I mean, you just want to make sure. Okay, so I grew up in Kansas. I'm a Girl Scout. I grew up on a farm. I can make things. I actually took a class back in college because this was apparently a PE class, a survivalist class, and
That's so cool.
yeah, it was weird. It was really weird. It's basically like your 101, like how to camp kind of stuff most of the time. And then for your final, they would take you out into the country and drop you off near one of the major trails, like the old cow trails. And you had to, with a very limited amount of things, make your way back to town using the gear that you had. And you ended up having to camp overnight. It's kind of ruthless in that respect, but it was a good learning experience. And of course, I grew up camping and whatnot, so it wasn't ever that scary. But I don't know. I'm not a city slicker by any stretch of the imagination, no matter what my brothers say now. But yeah, I think a knife, flint, and some rope. Not
You
very
would
creative.
totally last on Survivor then.
Oh heck yeah! Like I'm not. I mean, I guess they could take like a satellite phone, like one of those phones that can like call out anywhere, no matter if you have signal or not. Because as long as you have access to the sky, there's no clouds. These phones will actually connect, and you can still call out. So I mean, I could do that and cheat and get off the island. What's the fun in that?
Yeah, where's the sense of adventure? You're a hunter,
Mhm.
right? So it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically. It's not super creative. It's not like I need to have my music or I need to have my PlayStation. I'm like, no, those don't matter in the great scheme of things.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, here's a fun fact. If you purchased the Destiny 2 Collector's Edition, inside you will find a bag with rope inside as a survival
That's a
tool.
solar panel, doesn't it? I think it does.
Yep, it comes with a
that's
solar
cool.
panel.
Solar panel and charger, like a 600
Really?
charger, and
I
flat.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
And a really sweet bag. Like it looks really, really awesome. So yeah, we were talking about the collector's edition. Yeah, and me and Shadow Price actually picked up the collector's edition right when the game came out. We were one of the few people from that GameStop to pick one up, and it's really cool. It comes with a bag, and it's a life-size bag. It's pretty legit. And then it comes with a paracord, a solar blanket of all things.
Oh, it's just
Yeah, you gotta stay
that's
warm.
pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah. So all you really need is the Destiny 2 Collector's Edition, and you're all set.
Yeah. And maybe a PS Vita so you can play Destiny, although you would need a PS4 in order to actually
Remote
play it, right, Shadow?
And,
Yeah,
and
that's,
then you
yeah.
then you need like a treadmill or a bike so you can pedal so you can power the whole thing.
I like where this is going. I'd take that with me if I was stranded.
You guys are silly.
That's awesome. So Green, your name is Green-Eyed Music Lover.
Mm-hmm.
Something tells me that you're a fan of music.
Yeah, I for quite a long time. I actually have a degree in music education.
Really?
And yeah, I have a classically trained voice. I can sing opera if I need to. I don't generally do so. But both my wife and I actually are classically trained musicians. I also play saxophone. But
Whoa.
yeah, I can play quite a few different instruments, but saxophone's my main. And I taught K through 12 music, anything from beginning band, kindergarten, like basic music stuff, all the way up to 12th grade choir. And I assisted band and whatnot for a few years too.
That's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you in on another secret. in high school, I was actually a voice major, and I took part in 3 choirs back in high school. And I also took advanced placement music theory. And then in college, I also studied quite a bit of music as well. So
Nice.
I can relate to your passion for music.
A tenor?
I was a tenor, yes.
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah.
Yes, although second tenor, well, freshman in high school, maybe I was higher, but,
Right.
it changed
Right,
since then.
As you do.
And I settled into a second tenor, more of a high baritone
That sweet
voice.
spot. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever led a choir before, out of curiosity?
I have, actually. I've led quite a few choirs. My last teaching gig, which I actually do not teach anymore, I led my high school, my original high school that I went to. I was the choir teacher, choir there. I also have done some Sweet Adeline's barbershop choir, where I led that group for a few different events. Mostly sang as a baritone there, which is essentially your first alto, second alto type character in barbershop. But yeah, I've done a few different choral leads and whatnot. Mostly classical, but I've led a few different shows.
That is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Shadow Price is also pretty musically inclined also. He used to be in a music band, right, Shadow?
Yeah, I mean, we play, we mess around, and I play a little bit of guitar and sing a little
Nice.
and stuff. I'm probably like baritone, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I enjoy it. Tool is my favorite band. I love the band Tool because
Heck yeah.
I love their sound. I love Maynard. Like, he's got an amazing voice. And yeah, I try to play when I can, when I'm not playing Destiny, trying to fit it
Right.
in and everything. It's tough. I want to try to practice more because I've been asked to like do like a battle of the bands kind of thing.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Stuff. So yeah, so I have to start practicing now more. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
People get really like I don't know if shy is the right word, but like they kind of tend to shut down when they hear that you're like a classically trained musician. Dude, I love gritty rock. I wish I could play guitar like half the people I know. I mean, that gritty rock or like dirty rock or any of that kind of stuff, like that southern rock is my favorite genre. And so people who can do that and sing at the same time kind of blows my mind because I have to focus so stinking hard when I'm doing my one thing, whether it's playing saxophone or singing. I don't generally do 2 things at the same time. So if you can do that, more power to you.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I had to teach myself how to do it, and I had to like try to get rid of bad habits and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing it now for, I don't know, like 10, 12 years, I guess.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And some songs are like secondhand nature to me. It's hard to sing and play Tool because they play off time signature and everything. Like I can do sober.
Nice.
Good there. And we do mess around with 46 and 2 a little. So I just love that song. It's really cool. But yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy music. Growing up with it. My dad was really big into music. He was really big into the British rock and everything. So.
I would say not so much. I mean, she has a band, but Dorothy is probably my favorite at the moment. And she's not really well known, I don't think. Like she's known in the kind of that southern rock, dirty rock scene. She only has 1 album out, really, but I don't know, she's a really interesting singer, has some interesting it's not like complicated like Mars Volta or Tool where it has crazy time signatures and that experimental rock feel. It's a little bit more blues oriented. And I really enjoy that. I'm really digging her stuff right now.
Nice. I'll have
Very
to
cool.
look into that. She is Dorothy. That's the name of the.
Yeah, I can put a link for you in the
okay.
general.
Cool.
Yeah, and we can add that to the show notes as well if anyone is interested in checking out some new music. That's really cool.
I like Flyleaf. I've been listening to Flyleaf a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love Lacey's voice.
I tell you what, little secret tidbit. I mean, Cornholio might know this from listening to the show last week. I've been working on a little side project with Log Power Slave, if you know him.
Great guy.
Oh, yeah, super awesome guy. He's been helping me out a ton because I've been recording a parody song and he's been helping me with the audio of it. And I tell you what, Amy Lee is dang near impossible to sound like. Like, I could only wish to sound like her.
She is, yeah. I seen her live. I saw
Oh God, I wish.
live, and yeah, she's got an amazing voice.
Mm-hmm.
So much power in her voice too. Just like,
yeah,
it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite female singers, so I can very much agree on that. She is really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't she perform at, what was that festival in upstate New York?
She wasn't
K-Rock?
at that. She wasn't at the one we were at, Corn. I believe that I think Flyleaf. No, Hailstorm. Hailstorm was at that one. You saw Hailstorm.
Oh, okay, yep, that was Hailstorm.
Lizzie
that year.
Hale, and
Okay.
she's really good too. Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm.
Yeah, she's really, really awesome as well.
Yeah, she can sing very good. She can play the guitar very good.
Nice.
Too. Yeah, like, she's incredible.
Guitar is so difficult to learn when you're just starting out because you really have to build the calluses for it.
Mm-hmm.
But
yep, you got to build the calluses. Yep, you got to make sure you have your fingernails cut on your fret hand and everything. Otherwise, it'll be difficult to fret those with your fingers on them.
Be prepared to slice your finger open if you try to slide around too much, especially if you're playing electric.
Yeah, if you're not. Yeah.
If you're not built up your calluses yet.
I've been there. I took a guitar class in college, and there were some painful days, for sure.
My son has learned to start playing, and he learned Seven Nation Army, and it's like, I don't even know if I can listen to that song anymore because I've heard it so many times now.
It's that one that he's got down, and he'll let you know it.
Oh yeah, yeah. But he's also now playing "Sunshine of Your Love."
Okay.
Cream. So that's pretty cool too.
That's really impressive. He's ahead of me. That's great. And he's only like 9 years old, right?
Yeah, he's only 9. So
wow.
I want to get him started early so he'll be a natural at like 18.
Very cool. And Green, I do want to ask you, who had the greatest influence on you as a content creator and as a lore expert over the years, and why?
Well, those are kind of two different answers, because the person who influenced me to want to dive into the lore was actually Sir Wallen. And he hasn't done a whole lot of Destiny videos in a while. Like, he's been kind of putting them out every once in a while, but Wally used to put out a bunch of videos, and his was the initial lore video that I found before I ever found Mylan or Bife or any of those guys.
Same. I used to listen to Sir Wallen on the Plant Destiny.
Yeah, Wally is super nice guy too, but he would probably be like the most influential as far as like getting me started down this road. And then of course you have Bife, who's just been kind of a crazy awesome content creator, and I know he's like kind of stars and leagues ahead of a lot of different people, but he's always been really down to earth, and he does with a lot of different things. And Planet Destiny was kind of a huge help for Focus Fire Chat really getting off the ground. So I would say both Sir Wallen as far as like me getting started, and then Bife kind of a continued, because Bife will come on our show every once in a while and hang out with us, and we hang out with them at Guardian Con and whatnot. Those two for sure.
That's really cool. Yeah, Plant Destiny was the first. That was the first Destiny channel I found, was Plant Destiny.
Yeah, same. Those guys and DCP. I've been listening to them since the very beginning as well. So shout out to the Destiny Community Podcast. You guys are really awesome. And yeah, my name is Bife. He's one of the professionally put together content creators in Destiny lore, and I always watch all of his latest videos on the new lore in Destiny. And I've learned a great deal from him, and he has helped me with a ton of the research that I've had to do for the show notes for the last lore episode that we did. And I have so much respect for him as a content creator. He put together a really incredible video not too long ago that was like about an hour and a half long video about lore
The
in
last
the game.
word.
The last word, yeah.
Last word and dredging your, yeah.
And such an incredible production on his part, and I have so much respect for him.
The beauty of Bife is really good at allotting other people. Like, he is really good at managing. Like, he is incredible at like his own content creation and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, he makes a lot of his own videos, but the artists that he pulls in and the different voice actors for when he has people do voice acting stuff, he is really smart about allocating out things to other people. And he's just intelligent. He's an intelligent young man. And I can say that because I'm older than him, even though he's like 6'2" and could probably bench press me if he really wanted to. But he is incredibly intelligent. And him and both Mylan, they're both incredibly smart businessmen as well as lore aficionados, for sure.
He's really good at articulating and everything
Mhm.
in his videos and everything.
Yeah, they are really awesome. And I know you also mentioned Mylian Games. Him and Log, they do some really awesome content. They have the Destiny Down Under podcast, which is also really, really awesome. They've been around for quite some time as well.
And funny, too. Pretty funny as well.
Yeah, Log is hilarious. Mylan is too, but Mylan's like that quiet, reserved funny, whereas
Yeah.
Log is just in your face.
Yeah. Yeah, Log's a really great guy. And didn't Mylian also contribute to the Destiny Grimoire anthology, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, he did.
Right?
He did.
Hey.
He wrote the beginning. He wrote the insert at the beginning, and he helped arrange it, and as well as pick out things, I believe, is what his job was.
That's like pretty cool
Yeah.
though. Like,
Mm-hmm. And Volume 2 is about to come out.
no, I'm so excited.
I know. I'm going to pick that up. That's going to be a day one purchase for me. Do you know if he contributed to the second volume?
I believe he helped them with the arc of the different volumes. I know Volume 1 was his first baby that he really, really pushed out. I'm not entirely certain if he had as big of a hand in Volume 2, but I know that he helped them with a whole lot of different things, thanks to his visit to Bungie when they did the, what was it, the community summit.
Yeah.
Because he went in there, and a lot of us in the lore community helped him. We gave him basically a book of things to take to them and be like, here, these are things we have questions about. Please address them. And
Wow.
not just lore aspect, but also things in game, like this is what we'd like to see, and this is the data of that he took in from people on Twitter and people in the lore community, and he just went in with so much stuff, like such a pro, and really was able to impress them to where they wanted to work with him for some more things than what he initially went for.
It's awesome though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, he is a real inspiration, him and Bife, in terms of their content and also what they had built in the form of a business. It's not easy to do, and I have so much respect for both of those guys. So shout outs to Mylian and to My Name is Bife. You guys are all incredible. Before we continue to the weekly update segment of the conversation, I do want to ask you, Green, what is your favorite thing about the new season of The Drifter?
The Gambit roll sets. So I love my Sentry set. I love having a role that only I can do. Really, I mean, it obviously if you have the Sentry set on as well, you can do that Gambit Prime. But I love feeling like my role is secure on my team, because you get into those groups where you feel like you're kind of second wheel to everybody because everybody's so good. And so the roles don't seem as defined because everybody takes care of everything. That still happens, but I really love having, and I didn't pick Sentry initially. I wanted to be a Reaper, but we had somebody on our team who was also a Reaper. So I was like, all right, fine. I'll do the one role that nobody wants to do. I will sit by the bank and I will destroy Taken as they come over. And I've really actually kind of gotten into the role because, I have the ability with marking the invader. So if I can see you when you first come in and I ping you with 2 shots with my Mida, you're going to get marked to where my invader and my other people will know where you're at. And we can counter you or hide or whatever we're going to do that round.
Oh, you're running the Mida right now, huh?
I am. I am running Mida, Wishbringer, and Hammerhead when I go into Gambit Prime. Now, sometimes, depending if I'm going in solo, I will run, and I can't remember the name of the sword. It's a solar sword, because every Taken blocker that comes over, or at least the captains, are solar shielded. So I have to run solar weapons to clear them out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm working on trying to get the emblem because they have
the emblems, yeah.
the specific emblems, and the Sentry one is kind of a pain in the butt to get because you have to not only mark invaders, which is easy, you have to kill blockers, and you have to kill Taken, which is not too bad, but you also have to get the locksmith.
Oh yeah, that's killing. Isn't that killing like a bunch of just killing blockers basically?
It's killing the last blocker at the bank each time, and you have to get it like 3 times a match. So I really have to sit on the bank and just ping things with my scout rifle to be able to help. And surprisingly, I'm still able to get quite a few enemies defeated from the bank when I'm solo queuing with other people, because people don't realize you can shoot from the bank and work while the collector goes and gets all the things. But yeah, Mida is fun. Plus, I get that radar, which is important.
Oh yeah, that's always good. Yeah.
How is it performing right now as far as like killing ads and everything?
It's a little weak, but it's that faster fire rate, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I really liked Nameless Midnight. That was the other one I used to run a lot.
That's a good one.
And that one hit a tiny bit harder, but scouts have kind of been pulled back. If I had my druthers and was able to like run whatever weapons I wanted to, I would run probably like an auto rifle submachine gun, but you can't really do that as a Sentry. You could kind of do submachine gun as a Sentry, but not so much because you need that special and that high impact right away. Plus, a shotgun is so good at taking out the envoys.
And they just buff shotguns too.
Yes,
like
they
the
did.
lower rate of fire.
Thank God.
It's about time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was needed for sure. Even though I still would rely on my old reliable, my Ikelos shotgun, which I
haven't touched my Ikelos in such a long, like, since the update with them changing.
It's still good.
Shotguns and, I mean, yeah, it's still good. It's still good.
Yeah.
It's just like
it hits harder than Wishbringer.
I found better guns, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I'm collector, I solo queue in Gambit because I'm crazy. And
you want to know a fun fact or a fun tip?
Cold
Heart. You know the Callus strat where you use Cold Heart?
Oh yeah, Cold Heart, yeah.
It works in Gambit Prime.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to try that. But yeah, because right now with it being Emerald Cove, the only choices for ads are Cabal, Fallen, and Hive, all of which at least one of their enemy types do arc damage. So I run a Risk Runner with the Catalyst, and I just mow through everything, pick up all the motes, bank them. Oh, look, more motes. Pick them up, bank them, because I'm doing the same thing you're doing with the emblem. You have to bank 1,000 motes. You have to bank 40 large blockers, 100 small blockers, win matches. That's pretty standard. But then you have to also get half banked. I still have to do about 60 small blockers. I did all the large blockers today, I guess this morning, because I didn't go to bed. I just kept playing. I was like, I just want to finish the bounty or the thing. And then I looked at it, I'm like, I'm not going to get this done.
Do you have to do the extra large blocker, the 20-pointer?
That's the giant blocker, yeah. I have to bank that 40 times. Or I did that already.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, like, now I'm just, like, doing the small one, but the smalls don't give me half... Doing a bunch of smalls doesn't give me half bank, so I have to, like... Once I'm done getting the smalls, then I'm just gonna do giant blockers, because that'll give me half
Yeah.
banked. Because I'm almost done.
I have not encountered a giant blocker yet as a sentry. I've been really lucky.
They're scary.
I'm sure.
You
like
know the Lake of Shadows boss? It's basically one of those.
Okay. The Brachioms?
Yeah, the big guy, and how he has like the tether and the shield, and it's like a giant phalanx basically.
Okay. That one. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's basically that, and it's annoying. It's kind of a bullet sponge a little bit. Especially
So was the knight.
Yeah. It's just like ugh.
Ugh.
It has the giant blocker has more health, a lot more health, and it's just like ugh. I always feel kind of bad. When because earlier today you were up against a team and I was like, oh, I just want to get the large blockers, and so I did that. I blanked 3 large blockers in a row, and then 3 people on the enemy team left, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Sorry.
It's so rough.
It's
Between
rough,
that
man.
and an invader just wrecking your face every time they come over.
Yeah, it's just like, and I was just solo, like I wasn't like with like a 4-stack and thing. I was just like, just doing my thing, man. I'm just banking my modes. That's all I'm doing. Doing my job.
Yeah, those large blockers can be pretty rough if you're not DPSing with a team.
Yeah, definitely.
Shadow Price, what do you think about the new season of the Drifter? Do you have a favorite thing in the new season?
I also like the roles. I like be able to have a designated role, just like Green said, and everything. I like going in. I like invading because I play a lot of PvP. Played a lot of PvP in Destiny 1. Not as much in Destiny 2. Just because, it's kind of different.
It's a shotgun fest. Luna's Not Forgotten Fest.
Yeah,
pretty much. And just, I don't know, for a little while, PvP just, there's no excitement in it. There's no new maps. Hasn't been any new maps since Forsaken.
Yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, we've talked about that earlier. How
so
there's a whole lot new.
To get my kind of PvP fix, that's actually kind of enjoyable. I play Gambit Prime and everything.
Nice.
So it's you get the best of both worlds. You get PvE and PvP and everything. So
nice.
There's nothing more intimidating than seeing a whole team across from you who has the auras right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. I saw a guy with an invader, a collector, and a reaper, and I'm like, well, we're gonna lose this match. There goes my win streak.
and as a runner-up, it's the lore, just the lore that's
definitely
with this season and everything. It's super interesting. We're gonna dive into some of that tonight.
Yeah, I have to agree on the lore part. I've been really enjoying lore in Destiny and finally learning more about the 9, and for the Drifter to have a bigger part in this expansion, or I guess seasonal update. It's not technically an expansion, but it's been really interesting to learn about those characters and Gambit and Gambit Prime. It's really fun. I really wish we played more of the private matches. I haven't really had a chance to play that too much since it launched. Have you guys checked out the new Gambit private matches?
I have on the Xbox side. I went in with 4 people. We did 2-on-2 Gambit, which I've never until this season gone to time on a Gambit match. I didn't know you could until this last season. So it's like, okay, that was new, and the Primeval showing up automatically startled me, but it's pretty fun. You can set up what enemies you're going up against and whatnot, and you can make a lot of different choices like you can in Crucible private matches. There's a tournament being put together, I believe, for Gambit Prime by Planet Destiny.
Ooh.
I think they're trying to pull together a Gambit tournament.
That'd be cool.
That sounds like fun.
Right?
to some of my friends about
Yeah,
that and be like,
that's-
hey guys, I know you guys love Gambit Prime so much. And they're going to be like, no, why? Why do you drag us through this? I'm like, but it's fun.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool. I'd love to learn more about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's really awesome. And Dark Angel, do you have any favorite thing about the new season of The Drifter for you
Ooh.
personally?
Personally, I mean, I definitely agree. I do like the lore. I definitely like the new sets. That when they came out with that, I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I like that they're. I think so far my favorite thing is the definitely I feel like it's kind of starting to lean more into like the RPG aspects, like feeling like our choices matter. Like in Gambit Prime, for example, if you're a dredgen, they're just like, hey, you're a dredgen, you're cool. And then like later in the Allegiance quest, he's like, oh, you snitched, you side with the Vanguard, you're a snitch. I don't like you. It's like I don't know. I just like those like little touches because like they're RPG games I've played before. They would be like little touches, like depending on what race your character was, they would make comments, which is what they've done in with Forsaken launching with the Dreaming City and the Awoken, and how if you're an Awoken, they're like, oh, cousin, and if you're not, you're an outsider.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I really
cool.
like that. Like they're actually, random little tidbit. Oh, this is kind of segue, but in the Dreaming City, there was one of the voice lines from the Techian when you do the Oracle Engine quest or Oracle Engine like weekly mission. So I guess, medium curse mission. That the Techian will be like, oh yeah, some of the Corsairs, yeah, they recognize you, but we're not allowed to talk about it because that's like really taboo. And just like those little things, like you wouldn't probably get that dialogue if you were like a human or an exo.
It's
It's
a
like
nod. Mhm.
I just like those little nods to like our character choices. Like even if you're an exo and you just idly stand by Anna Bray, she'll be like, okay, yeah, I know you're an exo and you want answers. I don't know. I don't know anything about your past. I'm sorry. And it's just like those little things that they're adding in here and there that like it feels like my
Mhm.
choice as a player, like what I'm doing, it matters, I guess. I mean, maybe not like the grand scheme of things, but like I like having my choices being acknowledged. It makes me feel good.
Yeah. That you have purpose and everything.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, cool. I like being acknowledged.
Agreed.
What about you, Corin? What's your favorite thing in the season of Drifter?
My favorite thing about this season would be the lore that we're getting in the game and the cutscenes that we have with the Nine. I think that it's some of the coolest stuff that we've had in the game. And finally, we get a chance to really learn about the Nine, who I've been really curious about since the very beginning with Trials of the Nine.
Mm-hmm.
And also all of the different lore behind them. It's really cool to see all of that unfold with the invitations of the Nine that we get each and every week, and also Gambit. I really think that Gambit Prime is game changing for Destiny,
Yes.
and I definitely see it being something that's around not just for one season, but something that we're going to see in future seasons getting updated with new maps and additional refinements, I hope. So I'm really excited about that with the new season, and those are some of my favorite things about it.
I'm really hoping that after this week, because I think this week is the last technical Gambit Prime map, that we get a rotation like we do in Crucible, because playing on the same map for an entire week gets a little rough.
Yeah.
But what is the map on Titan with the rotating platforms?
Deep
That-
Six.
Oh my gosh, that map is so much fun.
That was a lot of fun. I like that.
I enjoy, like, you get that rush when you're in the airport and you have those walking sidewalks. I felt like that every time running on those things.
Yeah, you just running it and just launch off of it, and then it's awesome. It's a lot of, I think they're going to be in a rotation. Basically, after that they're gonna all be in a playlist. Like you select it, and it's gonna be one of them right now.
Catch us live every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/The Destiny Show. If you like the show, please share with friends, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Destiny content. You can find The Destiny Show podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, Podbean, and all major podcast platforms. New episodes available Fridays.